Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video, this is going to be my 10,000 subscriber special. This has been a tier list that I have been hinting at, refining down for a minute now, until another content creator in this space did it before me. Yeah. Now, I plan on doing something a little bit different now. You see, the tier list was originally supposed to be just historical warriors as a group. That would be much easier. No. We are going to be going over, as individuals, some of my all-time favorite fighters, military leaders that I have seen. For whatever reason, whether I actually think it's kind of funny to include them, to 100% earn a mention, to these are some of the people from your places that you are around the world have insisted that I put on this list. And I'll be real with you, I learned some things researching for this video that I would like to share with you. And that's going to be it for the intro, because we're going to be in for a long one. So sit back, relax, and enjoy me talking about some of the greatest warriors in history. Let's get started. We're going in immediately. King Leonidas. Well, what you got to understand about King Leonidas is, like a lesser known thing, they actually thought he was descendant of the King of Zeus. There was prophecies of King Leonidas. One reason they did call him Leonidas is because they thought bro was a demigod. And yeah, bro also went on having one of the craziest runs in history, okay? We all know the story of 300. However, one thing I gotta bring up, the story of 300 is not nearly as cool as you think it is. That's all I'm saying. However, the Spartans did way better than they thought they were going to do. Now, if we're gonna be going Spartans as a culture, what did they do? Kinda gay. I'm just saying it. Spartans were kind of gay, and it worked out for them. It did work out for them. They turned out to be pretty savage. Won the Peloponnesian War, were able to hold off the Persian Empire, which was stacked at the time. Xerxes probably earns a spot on here because they thought he was the god emperor himself. But King Leonidas, on that day in Thermopylae, stood on business, and his 300 Spartans, plus some other reinforcements that nobody seems to bring up, were able to stand their ground and put up a pretty good fight for a few days. Ended up dying, they ended up crucifying his corpse at the battlefield, and then they buried it with their dead after the war ended. Nobody really brings up that. But overall, as a warrior, you kind of have to, bro's a Spartan. He's 100% running a fade with most people. A tier, bro. I might even put him up at S tier later on in the video, but A tier, anything lower than that is a robbery. Next up, Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman to ever live, and yeah, he is regarded as the greatest swordsman to ever live. And yes, I know a lot of you weebs are going to be mad that I left out a lot of samurais. The fact is you could fill up an entire tier list with ancient samurais. I'm just going to spoil it. Miyamoto Musashi is the greatest swordsman. Book of Five Rings is a really good read if you don't mind reading a lot of swordsman stuff, because a lot of that book is how he used to wield a sword. And we actually do have some historic documents on what he did. Bro essentially just traveled around China and campaign after campaign and kind of just ran a fade with anybody who could wield a weapon. And I do mean that, dude. There was one time he had to do a duel with this son of a rich family in Japan. And brother, okay, wanted to run a fade so badly, forgot his sword at home, took a rowboat all the way to the battle. This isn't even a battle, this is a friendly tournament, okay, because this kid was talking shit. This man, with a row, carves down, so he has a knife, and he's carving down this ore that he used to get to this palace, right? Carves it down into something that looks like a wooden katana. And this man pulls up to this rich kid and beats him to death with a wooden katana. Yeah, Miyamoto Musashi didn't give a shit, dude. And he ran a fade with anybody that would like to fight him. If you think I'm kidding, look up the people that Miyamoto Musashi was fucking up. The bro was a legend. He was the original, pound for pound #1 guy. If we're talking straight fighting ability, you gotta put him at S tier. He is the GOAT of swordsmanship. He is the GOAT of swordsmanship. People were scared of fighting him, and he did not care. Also wrote a pretty good philosophical novel, Book of Five Rings, that his students compiled after his death. Pretty chill dude from what I hear. He kind of just retired and, in his later life, he regretted killing people. But, he mellowed out as he aged. That's really the best way I can describe Miyamoto Musashi to you. But in his prime, bro, was John Jones, man. Genghis Khan. Okay. Genghis Khan is a difficult one purely because I feel like he's going to be one of those guys that all of his bros gassed him up when he died. Because historically speaking, Genghis Khan was 6'3" at the shortest and quote unquote had the eyes of a cat. The fuck does that mean? Had the presence of a dragon. What does that mean? Is he like a 6'5" Alex Pereira but Mongolian walking around the battlefield? Like, that'd be kind of dope. Also, has the coldest nickname in history. I do not care. The Punishment of God is the most cold nickname of all time. To give you an idea of how on business, how looking for the smoke Genghis Khan was. Okay? There's a story where he sent 3 emissaries to the, I forget what the empire was. It was a place in Baghdad, okay? This was like the Muslim golden age. Anyways, he sends 3 emissaries that kind of go over there and basically said, "Hey, bro, pledge yourself to our King Genghis, who has never lost a battle, or he will come here, burn down your villages, and take your women." And the guy that was there basically said, "Yeah, nah, fuck that. We'll run it with your boss." Killed 2 of the emissaries, cut the dick and balls off the other one, lathered him in oil and put feathers on him, slapped him on the ass and sent him back to Genghis. And Genghis Khan was reportedly, granted this is like historical documents, this is not accurate at all, apparently saw this and was like, okay. This time send 1 more, okay? We'll give him a chance. I like this guy's style, but trust me, he doesn't want the smoke. Sends another emissary back, and they kill him. They execute the emissary, the 4th one that they sent. Genghis Khan, after hearing this news, sends a notice to the Saladin of this time, and basically says, "Alright, little bro, you want to run it? Okay, so this is what's going to happen. I am going to burn down your villages, slaughter your sons and daughters, take your wives and daughters as my concubine. I will pollute your bloodline with my genes because you are weak, and I will kill you last." Bro strolls up to Baghdad, okay, the capital of the Muslim Holy Land. Strolls up with so many men that they thought it was an earthquake. Strolls out into the front lines, up to the walls of Baghdad. I'm getting a hype because it is a badass story. And tells all the occupants of this city, "You will die because of your king." Oh, he said Saladin. "You will die because of your Saladin. For he thought that he was above me. The only reason that I would be sent to your door is by God himself. For I am the punishment of God." Comes in, kills all the men, takes all the women. The Saladin gets away, right? And they track this dude down. They took his wife. They killed his father. They killed his brothers. They took his sisters. They took all of his daughters as wives. And after all of that, they found him. And this Saladin, the Saladin of Baghdad, they take this guy into custody. And there's 2 stories. One, as a poetic death, because weirdly enough, Genghis Khan didn't believe in torture. He believed in ritualistic execution. And what he said was, "Because of your greed, your bloodline has ended, and it will be your greed that does you in." So he melted down silver and poured it into the ears and eyes of this guy and killed him. Coldest motherfucker in history. He is. I'm sorry. Bro, coldest guy ever. Killed so many people that it dropped the carbon footprint of the whole earth. A tier. A tier. I'm sorry. I don't care. Like, bro, 6'3", presence of a dragon is cold too. Punishment of God. A tier. I think Miyamoto Musashi would get it done, though. Abe Lincoln. Abe Lincoln was 230-0 in his catch wrestling record. Catch wrestling was basically MMA. You can look this up. To give you an idea of how badass this motherfucker was, okay? This man fought a dude that later went on to be in the Confederates in the Civil War, okay? This guy had to get a wrestling match, a catch wrestling match, which if you've ever done catch wrestling, it's as close to MMA as wrestling can get. And he beats Abe Lincoln, is the only dude to ever beat Abe Lincoln. and quotes that he is the toughest match he's ever had. And they later ran a fade in the Civil War. Brother, Abe Lincoln stood on business. 6'5", killed somebody in it. No, he didn't kill the dude in a duel, my bad. Did a duel with swords with a dude, nearly killed the guy, and because he wanted to get laid with his wife, he pretended he was dead, and they sew his body to his wife, and he basically said, psych, I'm alive. Yeah, I'm not even kidding you. Dude, Abe Lincoln was a straight savage back in the day. Underrated president. Is he really I'm going to put him in B tier. I mean, come on. Genghis Khan, Leonidas, they would beat up Abe Lincoln. But it's a steep drop-off after that. Next up, Vakhtang Gorgasali. This was one that was this was suggested, and I'm so happy this one got. So to give you an idea of how badass this motherfucker was, understand, he comes from what is now modern-day Georgia and that Caucasus region. He was the defender of Iberia. To give you an idea, Iberia was kind of sandwiched between two of the world superpowers back then. To give you an idea of what this guy was doing, he had to fight the Sasanian? I'm going to pronounce that wrong. Sasanian Empire, which is kind of the Middle East. And then also had to fight the Byzantine Empire, which was left over from Rome. Okay? This little king from Iberia decided, no, we will have independence. Our culture will live on. And decided to run a fade with the Sasanians. And then later on had to run a fade with the Byzantines. Later on, he finally died and lost. Understand, the resistance died with this man. But the culture lived on because they were so inspired by Gorgasali. That the culture of Georgia now really only exists because this dude decided, I'm going to run a fade with the biggest empires of the time. And nah, I'd win. He just turned out not to win. Bro had a Gojo arc back then. Also, you know why his last name was Gorgasali? You see, Gorgasali literally means wolf head. This man had a metal helmet constructed into the face of a wolf before he went in the battle. B tier. Brother, I'm sorry, B tier. Like, that is admittedly pretty cold. I can't argue that. King Baldwin. Okay, I'm going to sound mean, but the only reason he's on here is because King Baldwin edits absolutely took over the internet for like a month. However, I'm just going to say it right now. King Baldwin, physically, I would win. Because he's a leper. He might kill me with whatever sickness he has, but at the same time, I'd win. Military genius, by the way. He was the leader of the English during the Crusades of that time. And Crusades, basically, Catholics ran a fade. Well, now became the Catholics. The Catholics ran a fade with the Middle East over who can get the Holy Land. Has kind of been going on for about 1,000 years, but it's kind of like taking breaks. We're kind of in like a weird thing right now. It's a whole thing. But King Baldwin was a leper, 16 years old, but was a legit military genius. His aura, I'm bringing him up to C tier. But in terms of physical combat, he will probably lose the most people on this list. I'll put him in C tier out of respect, however. George Washington. This was a 6'5" ginger that won American independence. This guy was such a red-blooded American that they wanted to tax the American people 3% and decided, fuck that, we're gonna fight. Dog, they tax over 25% now. Where are the George Washingtons? George Washington is one of the most savage people in history because of how on business bro was. Oh, what type of crazy person would cross the Delaware River during winter? Me, bitch! Dude had the teeth of elephants and slaves. I understand that's problematic. Cold. That is some cold shit right there, dude. Imagine having to go to battle with a 6'5" ginger that has the teeth of other people in his mouth. And every single time you try to talk to him, being like, Mr. Washington, you will lose to the glory of our queen and the glory of God. And then you hear this. What are you gonna do? You're not winning that. Fuck that, bro. And up till then, like, understand, America at that time was kind of the people that revolutionized guerrilla warfare because we weren't going to be taking on the British in 1v1 tactics. We ran a fade in the woods and we were good at it. George Washington, B tier. Hand-to-hand combat, though, I mean, like, we have more written down about Abe Lincoln. It's just facts. Next up, Evil Mustache Man, D tier. I would get that done so quickly, dude. 5 minutes with Evil Mustache Man? Dude, he's tapping. No man with one testicle is ever going to beat me. Simple as that. Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler, I went down a huge rabbit hole with Vlad. Vlad the Impaler is one of my favorite historical figures. Okay, super brief history lesson on Vlad the Impaler to understand his placement. So this guy was, okay, Dracula, which is what he's based off, Vlad Dracula, is, his dad was named Dracul. Dracula means son of the dragon. Vlad Dracula means Vlad the son of the dragon, because his dad was called the Dragon. So his dad ran a fade with the king of Bulgaria at the time. The king of Bulgaria was absolutely not having it. Wallachia was a real small, like, basically county compared to the nation or kingdom of Bulgaria. Bulgaria kept on beating up the Wallachians. The Wallachians weren't giving up. So the king of Wallachia lost a battle to the Bulgarians. So Dracul, Dracula's dad, gave his 2 sons to the Bulgarians as an insurance policy that they wouldn't go to war again. So Dracula and his brother both went to the Bulgarians. And guess what happened? Dracul, the ultimate, I'm going to go to milk, I'll be right back, decided to run a fade with the Bulgarians again. Because he said, I could just make another son. What a dick. And then the Bulgarians, being faced with a tough decision, whether to kill the sons of Dracul, they ended up not, because what they decided to do is they were going to train Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, in their military tactics, and Bulgaria was notorious for being brutal at that time. They trained Vlad the Impaler in all their military tactics to fight his father when he became of age. Okay? At the age of 16, they sent this motherfucker back to his dad to kill him and assassinate him. And guess what this absolute savage decided to do? Kills his dad. What does he do? Bulgarians have raised Vlad Dracula to become the Count of Wallachia. What does he do? Immediately runs a fade with the Bulgarians. Says, fuck you. This is my home, and we're running it. Wallachia will remain Christian till the day that it burns, is something that he said. And yeah, Vlad the Impaler, he did do that. The Bulgarians were terrified of this man. They thought he was the son of Satan, dude. This man would take on armies that were much bigger than him. And as a warning, after every victory that he had, he would take all the men that were in or still alive in the battle, like hurt on the ground, impale them onto trees that have lost their leaves, and keep them at the border. So whenever Bulgarians had to march into Wallachia, they would have to see the warning of what happened if you came into a Wallachian nation. Cold. I'm sorry. Son of the dragon, son of Satan, the Impaler are all cold. A tier, bro. I understand he looks, but I'm sorry. That background is crazy, dude. Next in, Cochise, the war chieftain of the Apache. Understand, the Apache are one of the few Native American tribes that were able to go blow for blow with the Americans. It wasn't until we had to weaken them for decades to finally be able to beat them. But dude, they would come into settlements, they would scalp our men, our women, and then they would take the children and recruit them into the Apache team. They were so brutal that other Native Americans were like, bro, don't be fucking with the Apache, man. There's just nothing else left to say, dude. You had the Americans on the ropes for a minute. We had to hit you with smallpox and the infantry for us to beat you. Like, I'll be real, man. This reminds me of like whenever you see like those memes, like I will remember, like America back then was like Thanos fighting Tony Stark. Like, we respected you because you put up a great fight against us. I'm going to put him B tier. Game recognizes game, bro. I gotta give you that. Next up, Brian Boru, the man who won the independence of Ireland from the Vikings. Another guy, we have a guy from Ireland that requested him. Cold. I heard of Brian Boru. I'm sorry if I'm saying his name wrong. This is my American accent. I gotta hit it with that. He won the independence of Ireland from the Vikings. Understand, up at that point, when we think of Vikings, we think of like, oh, the Vikings were fighting the English. No. The Vikings were fucking with everybody that was near there. They conquered the entirety of Ireland and subjugated their people. You ever wonder why Irish people have a fighting culture? Because they were nearly exterminated by the Vikings, the English, and the English again. And people wonder why they are a no-bullshit people, because they have nearly been exterminated 3 times. This time, the Vikings subjugated the Irish people for 2 centuries. Brian Boru, who had some claim to a kingdom in Ireland, decides, I will free my people, and has strategic victories against all of the Vikings, is able to liberate the entirety of Ireland, ending with the Viking stronghold in Dublin. Liberates the entirety of Ireland and brings it into a era that kind of lit the way of what modern Ireland is now. Like, brother, cold dude. Bro put his entire life into saying, you know what? I'm liberating my people. B tier. I'm going to put him in B tier, dude. I might actually put him above George Washington slightly. We don't know enough about hand-to-hand combat with him. That's all I'm saying. Napoleon Bonaparte. Listen, Napoleon Bonaparte was one of the greatest conquerors in history. The only history lesson that I'll give you on him that you guys probably don't already know. So Napoleon Bonaparte was such a savage that after they locked him on his jail on an island, they took him back and then put him back on the prison on the island because he was such a scary motherfucker that they thought that the people would take him back. And the people liked Napoleon Bonaparte. They actually invited him back because they wanted to prove to the people that he was really good at conquering, not in peacetime. Bro lived only to run a fade. Here's the problem, though. He was short. So I'm going to put him at the top of C tier. Okay? Top of C tier. He also made Evil Mustache Man take a knee in respect to him. If you know the story, you know the story. Shaka Zulu. This man was such a menace that when he got done having his military escapades, they called it the Great Scattering, because all the cultures of Africa were in fear of him and suffered such devastating loss that they lost part of their culture after this bro was done with them. He did everything that you could think about to disrupt the culture of the clans around him. Bro came into this world knowing that he was going to have to run a fade and went out being killed by his brothers because they were scared of him. In terms of fighting ability, honestly, Shaka Zulu, A tier. He really was that much of a menace. The only thing that I'm docking him points of is he did inherit a pretty strong pretty strong warrior clan, but made the most of it. I gotta respect it. Chuck Norris. A tier? I mean, for the memes, I gotta put him in A tier. If I had to explain to you the placement of Chuck Norris, I don't know what to tell you, bro. I really don't know what to tell you. Rasputin, the unkillable man, to give you an idea of how crazy they had to hit him with. They hit him with 3 times the lethal dose of cyanide in his drink. And reportedly, Rasputin was only slightly drunk. After doing that, somebody came up behind him and shot him. I forget, how many times did they shoot this motherfucker? They shot him quite a bit. So after that, they stab him. So they stab him, do all that, right? And then they roll him in a carpet, throw him into the winter's running water, and they think they killed him. Only for him to wake up, walk all the way back to where his assailants were, so he could fight them. And then they finally kill him, and they just keep on unloading into bro until he's finally dead. They called him the Immortal Rasputin. In terms of fighting ability, though, he really didn't do anything. His durability's just goated. Also, reportedly had a massive hog. I'm not even kidding you. So his daughter actually was able to get his hog chopped off and put basically into a pickle jar and formaldehyde. And she makes money off of his basically dead man's OnlyFans. And yeah, part of the reason that he was killed is he kept on porking down people's wives. You think I'm kidding, bro. We have not changed as a people that much. C tier, though. Just super high durability. I think Napoleon would beat up Rasputin, frankly. Gandhi. Great dude. What are you gonna do? Not eat? D tier. Brother, he wasn't... Do I have to explain myself? Gandhi was never known as a fighter. His whole thing was not fighting. And finally, my favorite president in history, Teddy Roosevelt. GOAT. Absolute GOAT. I'm an American. He's above Shaka Zulu. Teddy Roosevelt, where do I have to begin? Bro started the Marine Raiders. Not just that. Also was an accomplished boxer, would host boxing matches in the lobby of the White House because he wanted to get back in the fighting. Did a 3-hour speech after getting shot in the stomach. GOAT. Just all around a badass dude. The reason they call him Teddy Roosevelt is because he was a very accomplished trophy hunter, and somebody tied up a black bear cub to a tree, and they wanted him to shoot the baby cub. He reportedly untied the bear cub, hugged it, and sent it on its way because he said it's unsportsmanlike to tie up an animal to kill for sport. What a go! A tier, Teddy Roosevelt, everybody. And there you go. That is going to be your 10K special for K-Side Combos. Thank you, everybody who's joined so far. And I like this how this tier list turned out better than the one that I was originally going to do. That somebody got to before me. Overall, I think I did pretty good. Don't be taking this one too seriously. Thank you guys for your suggestions in the community post. It means the absolute most to me. And I will see you all next time. Back to MMA content we go. Adios, everybody.